Most people will take over 23,000 breaths today and never realize each one is silently programming their future. Every inhale is either feeding health or feeding decay. The unsettling truth is this: 99% of those breaths happen in complete unconsciousness, and that hidden rhythm is the reason your body, your energy, and even your state of mind feel the way they do. The ancients called it prana, chi, the very breath of God moving through man. Modern science now confirms what they already knew. Your breath doesn't just keep you alive. It shapes your heartbeat, your hormones, your nervous system, even the blueprint of your subconscious mind. Which means the way you're breathing right now is silently deciding how long you live, how much vitality you carry, and whether your body is healing or slowly breaking down. And here's the most shocking part: you've been breathing wrong your entire life. But the secret isn't in the air itself, it's in the awareness you bring to it. Hidden inside your next breath is a force that can renew your body, rewrite your emotions, and align you with something greater than biology itself. I'm going to reveal the 4-stage healing breath method that transforms every inhale into healing and every exhale into renewal. You'll also discover the subconscious command technique, a simple shift that imprints health, peace, and strength directly into your inner mind in less than a second. This is the same law your body has obeyed since birth, but once you finally understand it, every breath becomes a choice: decay or renewal, weakness or strength, despair or harmony. When this secret is grasped, one can never look at breath the same way again. But before we begin, take a moment to like this video and let us know in the comments where in the world you're watching from. Breath is the one thing we all share, and it's always inspiring to see people from across the globe awakening to its power. Stay with me until the very end, because what I'm about to reveal about the hidden law of breath will not only change how you breathe, it will change how your body heals, how your mind thinks, and how your spirit responds to life itself. Breath has always been the silent architect of health. From the first inhalation at birth to the final exhalation at life's end, it governs the rhythm of existence. Yet most pass through their days scarcely aware of its power, treating it as an unconscious necessity rather than a divine instrument. Hidden within each breath is a healing current, a subtle energy that can renew the body, steady the mind, and cleanse the soul. Those who learn to awaken this secret discover that the path to health is not outside in medicine alone, but inside, where the breath touches the life principle itself. The ancients knew this mystery. They spoke of prana, chi, ruach, the vital breath of God moving through man. They saw the act of inhalation not merely as the drawing of oxygen, but as the drawing in of spirit, of vitality, of invisible nourishment that sustains every organ. Modern physiology confirms what sages proclaimed: breath shapes heartbeat, nervous system, digestion, even the immune defense. But beyond biology, it touches consciousness itself, altering moods, dissolving fear, and awakening peace. When breath is shallow and rushed, the body weakens and the mind collapses into agitation. When it is deep, rhythmic, and infused with awareness, it carries the body into harmony and the spirit into renewal. Health is not the absence of disease alone, it is the radiant balance of the entire being. Disease often begins not in the cells but in the hidden currents of thought and feeling. Fear constricts, anxiety shortens the breath, resentment poisons the bloodstream with tension, and grief saps vitality. The body becomes the obedient servant of the mind's atmosphere. Breath, however, is the bridge to change the inner weather. To shift from storm to stillness, one must first take hold of breath. It is the handle by which man turns the wheel of his nervous system, calming the storms of thought and restoring order to the kingdom within. Consider how the body responds in crisis. Fear triggers shallow, rapid inhalations, starving the organs of oxygen, flooding the system with stress chemistry, and leaving the mind restless. But when one exhales slowly, deeply, with trust, the body listens. The pulse steadies, the muscles release, the mind clears. In that moment, the breath has carried the person back to the healing law of life. Thus, every breath is either an unconscious partner of decay or a conscious ally of healing. The difference lies not in the air itself, but in the awareness brought to it. Breath charged with faith becomes medicine. Within the subconscious mind lies a perfect blueprint of health, an image formed from the divine pattern. The subconscious builds tissues, renews cells, mends wounds, and orchestrates functions with flawless wisdom. Yet it takes its instruction from thought, suggestion, and emotional tone. Breath becomes the carrier of these instructions. To breathe with fear is to whisper weakness into the subconscious. To breathe with calm expectancy is to affirm health at the deepest level. The healing breath is therefore not merely mechanical, but spiritual. It unites thought, body, and spirit in a single rhythm of wholeness. Those who practice this art need not force results. Just as seeds sprout silently beneath the soil, the work of the breath unfolds invisibly within. The bloodstream becomes richer, the glands regulate, the nerves find balance. More importantly, the subconscious receives the steady message: health is natural, harmony is natural, strength is natural. In time, the body begins to reflect this message outwardly. Energy rises, sleep deepens, digestion improves, and a quiet joy suffuses the being. The healing breath does not merely treat symptoms, it changes the atmosphere of life from within, making disease unwelcome. Healing has always been a matter of alignment rather than struggle. To align with divine life, one need only still the mind, breathe consciously, and allow. Just as a river cleanses itself by flow, so the body cleanses itself when given the rhythm of deep, peaceful breathing. Each inhalation becomes an act of receiving God's vitality, each exhalation a release of tension, bitterness, and doubt. Over time, breath becomes prayer, and prayer becomes health. One does not fight illness, but rises above it, affirming with each breath that the life within is greater than any disturbance. The world has taught man to seek health in bottles, pills, and external remedies. These have their place, but they are incomplete without the inner law. For no medicine can heal a man who breathes in despair, nor can surgery alone restore one who continually whispers fear into his subconscious. But one who breathes with faith, who inhales strength and exhales doubt, unlocks reservoirs of healing that no laboratory can replicate. The body listens to the song of the breath, and when that song is one of trust and expectancy, the body begins to dance again in harmony with life. Breath therefore becomes the great equalizer. It is free, available to every man regardless of wealth, status, or condition. No one is too poor to breathe in health, and no one is too broken to exhale weakness. Each moment offers the choice to breathe as a slave of circumstance or as a master of inner law. Those who choose mastery discover that they are never helpless. Even on the sickbed, one can breathe faith, and through that breath, plant the seeds of recovery. The healing breath whispers, life is not against you, life flows through you. As the sun gives light without effort, so does breath give healing without strain, when aligned with divine truth. To change health from within, one need not invent miracles. One must simply allow the miracle already present in breath to do its work. This is the first secret of transformation, that the ordinary act of breathing, when united with faith and awareness, becomes extraordinary. In this discovery lies the beginning of renewal, the first step toward a life where health is not something chased, but something allowed, welcomed, and lived with every sacred breath. Breath becomes the inner physician when it is sanctified by attention and trust. The subconscious, which governs digestion, circulation, and repair, listens not only to words but to atmosphere. Each slow, measured inhalation tells it, all is well, life is safe, harmony rules. Each extended exhalation whispers, let go of tension, release fear, surrender disease. In this way, the breath becomes a silent language, speaking constantly to the inner mind and shaping the body's destiny without the conscious mind realizing its influence. Healing is rarely an instant thunderclap. More often, it is the dawn, beginning imperceptibly in the silence of the night and gradually spreading until all is lit. When one practices the healing breath, small shifts occur first: better sleep, calmer nerves, a release of heaviness in the chest. These early fruits are the signs that the subconscious has accepted the suggestion of health. With continued rhythm, the body organizes itself around this new command, and what once seemed chronic begins to dissolve, not through force, but through the natural law of restoration. Even the sciences of today reveal that controlled breathing can alter immune responses, lower blood pressure, and reduce inflammation. Yet the deeper truth is that these biological effects are only the shadows of a spiritual law. Man was designed to live in harmony with divine rhythm, and breath is the proof. It is the one process that links the voluntary and involuntary, the conscious and subconscious. It is as if the Creator left a secret key in the body, saying, whenever you forget your divine origin, return to the breath, and it will lead you back into alignment with the source of life. Observe those who live under constant worry. Their shoulders rise with shallow inhalations, their chests constrict, their bodies are starved of vitality. Now compare with one who breathes deeply in trust. His presence is calm, his body open, his speech steady, his mind at rest. The difference is not merely psychological, it is physiological and spiritual. Breath is not only the evidence of life, but the tone of life. When cultivated in harmony, it builds resilience against illness. When neglected, it creates the conditions for disease. One cannot separate thought from breath. When the mind obsesses over fear, the breath shortens automatically. When the mind contemplates peace, the breath deepens naturally. This interplay shows the profound unity of body and mind. To train the breath, therefore, is to train thought, and to train thought is to command the subconscious. Thus, by mastering breath, man holds in his hand a master switch by which the currents of health, joy, and vitality are turned on. It is a simple act, yet the greatest truths are always simple. The healing breath teaches surrender. Inhale and receive life from God. Exhale and release what no longer serves. Inhale strength. Exhale weakness. Inhale harmony. Exhale conflict. Inhale faith. Exhale doubt. The very act becomes an affirmation of truth, carried not in words but in rhythm. With practice, the body begins to believe this rhythm, and in time, it remakes itself accordingly. Cells regenerate under its command, nerves obey its cadence, the entire being falls into order like an orchestra, tuning itself to the conductor. Faith is the unseen power that gives breath its authority. Without faith, one may breathe deeply but remain unchanged. With faith, even the simplest breath becomes a healing force. The subconscious responds not to mechanics alone, but to conviction. Therefore, when breath is united with belief, when one inhales with the trust that divine life is flowing in, the subconscious accepts the suggestion without resistance. This is why those who combine prayer with breath often experience renewal, for they have merged the rhythm of the body with the language of the spirit. Every man carries within him a pharmacy that no chemist can rival. Hormones, endorphins, immune cells, all are waiting to be directed by the inner mind. Breath is the courier delivering the command. When one breathes in despair, the pharmacy floods the body with stress chemistry, weakening defenses. When one breathes in faith, the pharmacy dispenses strength, balance, and healing. This law operates silently, impartially, and continually. It is man's choice whether to direct it toward decay or renewal. To practice the healing breath is to reclaim sovereignty over health. Instead of waiting passively for external remedies, one becomes an active participant in life's healing current. This does not mean rejecting medicine, but completing it, harmonizing the outer with the inner. True health emerges not from dependence, but from alignment, and the breath is the bridge by which alignment is achieved. With each conscious cycle, one affirms, life flows through me, life renews me, life sustains me. Thus the healing breath stands as one of the greatest gifts bestowed upon man, unnoticed by many, underestimated by most, yet always available. It is the hidden well of strength beneath the desert of anxiety, the quiet song that restores rhythm to the weary heart. To embrace it is to begin the journey of changing health from within, where true transformation always begins. With breath as companion, disease loses its grip, fear fades, and vitality returns like spring after winter. This is not theory, it is law, waiting only for man to breathe it into being. Breath is not only the sustainer of the body, but also the sculptor of destiny. With every inhalation, man draws in the raw material of life, and with every exhalation, he shapes that material according to the pattern of his belief. Those who breathe mechanically, without awareness, allow the subconscious to be filled with the fragments of worry, noise, and external influence. But those who breathe consciously, uniting each cycle with faith and expectancy, become architects of their own health. The body cannot help but obey the design impressed upon it by this rhythm, for breath is the messenger of thought to the flesh. The healing breath reveals that health is not a distant goal, but a present reality waiting to be unveiled. When breath is brought into harmony, the inner life begins to resonate with divine order. This resonance spreads silently, blood circulates more freely, tissues are oxygenated, energy flows without obstruction. More than physiology, it is spiritual alignment, the body finally agreeing with the truth that life is abundant, that health is its natural state, that sickness is only a shadow cast by distorted rhythm. When the breath is corrected, the shadow dissolves and the light of vitality shines through. Fear is the great thief of health. It contracts the chest, shortens the breath, and signals to the subconscious that danger is everywhere. Under this false alarm, the body prepares for battle, diverting resources from healing to survival, and sickness takes root. But when man learns to breathe slowly, evenly, with trust in divine life, he cancels the message of fear. He says to his subconscious, without words, all is well, life supports me, I am safe. And the body, ever obedient, shifts back to healing, redirecting its energy from defense to restoration. The rhythm of breath mirrors the rhythm of thought. Just as waves rise and fall upon the sea, so do inhalation and exhalation mirror the tides of consciousness. When thoughts are chaotic, breath becomes erratic. When thoughts are centered, breath becomes steady. By choosing to control breath, man indirectly controls thought, and by controlling thought, he commands the subconscious. This is why sages taught that mastery of breath leads to mastery of mind, and mastery of mind leads to mastery of life. The healing breath is therefore the first step to reclaiming dominion over one's existence. Consider the man who begins each morning in conscious breathing. He sits quietly, inhales deeply with the conviction that divine life is flooding his system, and exhales with the certainty that all weakness is leaving. In those few minutes he sets the tone of his entire day. His heart beats with strength, his mind remains calm under pressure, his body resists fatigue. Not because of chance, but because he has instructed his subconscious to manifest health through the language of breath. Repeated daily, this practice becomes a fortress of vitality that illness struggles to penetrate. Even in times of illness, breath becomes the rope by which man climbs out of the pit. Weakness may tempt him to despair, but by directing what little strength he has into steady, faith-filled breathing, he tells the subconscious recovery is already underway. The body listens, the chemistry shifts, energy returns gradually, like dawn after night. Many dismiss this as coincidence, but those who persist discover that coincidence is only another name for law not yet recognized. The law is simple. The subconscious manifests what it is continually told, and breath is the constant messenger. The healing breath is not a mere technique, but a covenant between man and the life within him. Each cycle becomes a renewal of that covenant. Inhale and affirm union with God's vitality. Exhale and release all that denies it. This rhythm establishes an atmosphere in which disease cannot thrive. Just as fire cannot burn in the absence of oxygen, illness cannot persist in the presence of harmony. The subconscious, bathed in this atmosphere, reshapes the body according to the divine blueprint. Healing, then, is not forced from without, but allowed from within. Faith gives breath its wings. Without faith, breathing exercises remain only physical calisthenics. With faith, each inhalation becomes a prayer, each exhalation a sacrament. The body becomes the altar, the breath the offering, and health the answer. Those who unite breath with belief walk in a current of life so strong that even adversity loses its power. They no longer see themselves as fragile beings at the mercy of circumstance, but as channels of divine vitality, sustained by an inexhaustible source. It is written that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. Breath is that word made flesh. It is the continual declaration that life is present, sustaining, renewing. To ignore it is to miss the greatest gift hidden in plain sight. To embrace it is to awaken to a life where health is no longer chased but continually expressed. The healing breath is not a promise for tomorrow, but a law for today. And the one who practices it discovers that health is not something gained but something revealed with every sacred cycle of breath. Breath carries the memory of creation. The same divine breath that stirred dust into life continues to animate every man, silently declaring that existence is sustained not by chance but by law. This law is impartial, ever ready to heal, yet it awaits cooperation. When man breathes without awareness, he resists the current. When he breathes in harmony, he flows with it, and health arises as naturally as dawn follows night. The healing breath is therefore not an invention, but a return back to the original rhythm of life, in which wholeness was the default condition. Every disorder begins with disharmony. The body becomes the stage upon which the conflicts of thought and feeling are acted out. Resentment tightens muscles, fear disrupts the pulse, despair saps energy. Yet just as discord begins within, so does harmony. Breath is the first note of this harmony. By quieting the mind and breathing deeply with faith, one begins to rewrite the music of life. The subconscious, which never argues, takes this steady rhythm as truth and begins to rebuild the body accordingly. What was once disjointed becomes aligned, and the song of health resumes. Observe the child at play. His breath is deep, unforced, flowing with joy. This is why vitality radiates from him like sunlight. Contrast this with the adult burdened by worry. His breath is shallow, his chest constricted, his vitality dimmed. The difference is not age but rhythm. The child breathes in trust, unaware of limitation, and so his body flourishes. The adult breathes in fear, carrying invisible weights, and so his body declines. To recover health is to recover this childlike rhythm of breath, where every inhalation is trust and every exhalation is release. There is a sacred exchange in the act of breathing. Inhalation is receptivity, a willingness to receive the life of God. Exhalation is surrender, a willingness to let go of what does not serve. To inhale without faith is to draw air, but not life. To exhale without release is to cling to poison. But when both are united with trust, breath becomes sacrament. Each cycle renews the covenant between man and his creator. Life flows in, burdens flow out. In this continual exchange, the body finds balance and health emerges not as a battle won, but as a harmony restored. Science may measure oxygen levels, lung capacity, and carbon dioxide exchange, yet it cannot measure the unseen power that breath carries when united with faith. That power is spirit itself, the animating principle that sustains all creation. When man aligns his breath with spirit, the body responds in kind, for it is spirit that commands matter. This is why so many traditions link breath with prayer, mantra, or meditation. They understood that breath is not neutral but charged, and when infused with holy thought, it becomes a vehicle of healing. The subconscious mind, faithful servant of suggestion, is influenced most by repetition and emotion. Breath offers both. Every inhalation, repeated with calm expectancy, impresses health upon the inner mind. Every exhalation, released with feeling, impresses peace. Over time, this rhythm forms a groove, a new pattern that the subconscious accepts as law. Just as a river carves valleys through persistent flow, so does breath carve health into the body through steady practice. Nothing is forced, yet everything is changed. Those who dismiss breath as trivial overlook the most constant force in their existence. Breath accompanies every thought, every word, every deed. It is the silent witness of life's journey, shaping physiology and psychology alike. To take control of it is to take control of the very foundation of experience. To neglect it is to live at the mercy of chance. The healing breath teaches that man is never powerless. No matter the condition, no matter the circumstance, one always has the ability to breathe differently, and by breathing differently, to live differently. Even the weary can begin this path. A body weak with illness may lack strength, but breath requires no great effort, only willingness. One gentle inhalation of trust, one soft exhalation of surrender, repeated faithfully, can shift the tide. In time, the subconscious hears the new message and begins its silent work of renewal. Thus the healing breath becomes the great equalizer. No equipment, no wealth, no privilege is required. Only willingness, only faith, only rhythm. The rest is accomplished by the divine law that never fails. Health, then, is not earned through struggle, but received through alignment. Just as a window need not struggle to let sunlight in, but only open, so man need not fight desperately for health, but only breathe in harmony with life. The healing breath is the opening of that window, the allowing of divine vitality to pour in. Once understood, it becomes the simplest yet most profound practice to change one's health from within, not by force but by breath. The healing breath is the great harmonizer of opposites. It gathers the fragments of life, the scattered thoughts, the restless emotions, the weary body, and unites them into a single current of order. Every inhalation draws together the forces of vitality. Every exhalation dissolves the knots of tension. In this way, breath performs the same work in man that rivers do in nature, cleansing, renewing, and carrying away what no longer belongs. Health is not imposed from outside, but arises as the natural result of this continual cleansing and renewal. Disease often thrives where stagnation reigns. Just as water left unmoving breeds decay, so breath left shallow breeds weakness. But when breath flows deeply and rhythmically, circulation quickens, the mind brightens, and the spirit awakens. The entire being becomes a river of movement, incapable of harboring the stagnation that illness requires. Thus, the healing breath is not a war against disease, but a refusal to allow the conditions in which disease prospers. It is the creation of an inner climate where only vitality can exist. The subconscious responds most powerfully to symbols, and breath is the oldest symbol of all. From Genesis to every sacred tradition, breath is equated with spirit, with life itself. To breathe with faith is to declare to the subconscious, "Divine life is within me now." To exhale fully is to say, "All weakness departs, all burdens are lifted." These are not empty gestures but powerful affirmations, repeated endlessly with each cycle of breath until the subconscious accepts them as law. Once accepted, the body reorganizes itself to reflect this law. Man often imagines healing as a dramatic event, yet in truth it is the accumulation of countless small agreements between breath and faith. Each cycle may seem insignificant, but like drops filling a vessel, they eventually overflow into visible transformation. 1,000 breaths taken with fear weaken the body. 1,000 breaths taken with trust build resilience. The law does not favor drama, it favors consistency. This is why the healing breath, though quiet, outlasts every struggle. Its work is invisible until suddenly, unmistakably, health reappears. The power of the healing breath lies also in its constancy. Unlike fleeting affirmations or occasional prayer, breath is always present, always available, always repeating. By harnessing this constancy, one ensures that the subconscious is being influenced not sporadically, but continuously. The rhythm of health becomes woven into the very fabric of life, as natural as heartbeat and as steady as the turning of the earth. The body, conditioned by this steady influence, finds it easier to heal than to remain ill. In moments of crisis, when pain or fear seem overwhelming, breath remains the one companion that cannot be taken away. Even when strength is gone, one can still inhale with trust and exhale with release. This act alone shifts the tide. It gathers scattered thoughts, calms trembling nerves, and reminds the subconscious of the eternal truth: life is greater than any symptom. The healing breath becomes a sanctuary, a place of safety where the soul remembers its unity with God, and from that remembrance healing flows. Every transformation begins in silence, and breath is the doorway into that silence. When attention rests on the slow tide of inhalation and exhalation, the noise of fear subsides, the distractions of the world fade, and the inner mind becomes receptive. In this receptivity, faith takes root. Suggestions of health are planted deeply, where they grow unseen until their fruits appear. Breath is therefore not only a healer, but a teacher, training the mind in patience, trust, and surrender. The man who makes breath his daily practice soon discovers that health is not something pursued, but something expressed. He becomes attuned to the inner rhythm of life, and his body reflects this attunement in vitality, clarity, and strength. He walks differently, speaks differently, carries himself with an air of quiet confidence. Others may attribute it to chance, but he knows the truth. Every breath has been an investment in health, and the harvest is inevitable. The healing breath does not belong to an elite few, but to all. It requires no special initiation, only willingness. It asks for no wealth, only attention. It demands no extraordinary effort, only constancy. And in exchange, it offers the greatest treasure, health that arises from within, unshaken by circumstance. This treasure is available in every moment, hidden in the simplest act of life. To breathe is to live, but to breathe with faith is to be healed. Breath is the rhythm of renewal, the ever-present current through which divine life circulates. In times of weariness, when the body feels drained and the mind clouded, it is breath that quietly restores balance. Each conscious inhalation gathers unseen strength. Each deliberate exhalation removes the residue of fear and fatigue. In this rhythm lies the hidden medicine that surpasses prescriptions, for it does not merely treat symptoms but touches the root, the atmosphere of the soul. By changing the breath, man changes the very climate of his inner world, and the body, obedient to climate, begins to heal. Many search for healing in distant places, forgetting that the very air they breathe is charged with life. This life does not ask to be earned, it asks only to be received. Yet reception requires awareness. The one who breathes without faith inhales air but not life. The one who breathes with expectancy inhales vitality, harmony, and peace. This expectancy is the secret ingredient that turns ordinary oxygen into living spirit. Thus, the difference between weakness and renewal is not in the breath itself, but in the consciousness that accompanies it. The healing breath reorders the nervous system. Anxiety sets the nerves aflame, tightening every muscle, racing the heart, clouding the mind. But deep, steady breathing whispers to the nerves, peace is here, safety is certain, harmony is restored. The nerves, obeying this suggestion, release their tension, and the body reclaims its equilibrium. From this calm, the organs function as they were designed. Circulation flows unhindered, and the inner pharmacy dispenses strength instead of stress. Breath has thus shifted the entire kingdom of the body with a single command: be still and know life. Every breath is an opportunity to choose. One can inhale in worry, feeding the subconscious with messages of lack, or inhale in faith, impressing upon it the certainty of abundance. One can exhale in bitterness, keeping alive the poisons of resentment, or exhale in surrender, releasing every burden into the care of divine order. Each choice, repeated hundreds of times a day, accumulates into destiny. The subconscious, ever faithful, builds the body according to the atmosphere it receives. The healing breath, therefore, teaches responsibility. Man becomes the craftsman of his health, one breath at a time. The body does not heal by command of intellect alone. It heals by rhythm, repetition, and suggestion. Breath provides all three. Its rhythm soothes the subconscious, its repetition engraves patterns of harmony, and its suggestion, when charged with faith, directs the subconscious to build health. This is why those who integrate prayer with breathing find their bodies transformed. The words of prayer, when carried by the rhythm of breath, sink deeply into the subconscious, and there they germinate, producing results that appear miraculous but are simply the law fulfilled. Consider the garden that flourishes because it is watered daily. No single watering creates the harvest, but the steady rhythm of nourishment makes growth inevitable. So it is with the healing breath. One session may bring calm, but constancy brings transformation. In time, vitality becomes the new normal, health the natural state. The body, trained by the subconscious, ceases to remember illness. It knows only harmony. This is why the wise practice breathing, not merely as an emergency measure in times of distress, but as a daily covenant with life. The most profound truths are hidden in the simplest acts. Breath, ignored by most, is one of these. To those who awaken to its power, it becomes both anchor and sail, anchoring the mind in peace and carrying the body into renewal. Its genius lies in accessibility. No wealth is required, no ceremony needed, no equipment necessary. The air around every man contains the very force of God. The only question is whether he will breathe it in with faith or allow it to pass unnoticed. When breath becomes prayer, health becomes inevitable. Every inhalation affirms unity with divine life. Every exhalation releases the falsehood of weakness. This practice transforms not only the body but the spirit, for man learns that he is not a victim of circumstance, but a participant in creation. He discovers that health is not outside waiting to be delivered, but inside waiting to be revealed. The healing breath is the key to this revelation, simple yet inexhaustible, quiet yet unstoppable, hidden yet all-powerful. The healing breath is more than a discipline. It is a revelation that health flows not from effort, but from alignment. In the stillness of conscious breathing, man discovers that the same intelligence that heals wounds, that grows hair and nails, that renews blood every few weeks, is alive and active within him. He does not need to command this intelligence, he needs only to stop obstructing it. Shallow breathing obstructs, anxious thoughts obstruct, fear obstructs. But deep, faithful breathing clears the channels, and the healing current flows as it was meant to from the beginning. In every culture, the breath has been revered as sacred because it is the point where matter and spirit meet. Modern science may describe oxygen exchange, yet behind this lies a greater mystery, that the invisible becomes visible with every inhalation. Life itself, unseen and untouchable, enters the body and animates it. This is why conscious breathing is not just a practice for health, but a reminder of man's divine origin. Each cycle proclaims, he is more than flesh, more than chemistry. He is a temple of the spirit, kept alive moment by moment through the breath of God. The healing breath awakens gratitude. Those who once despised their bodies as frail or flawed begin to see them as sacred instruments, capable of renewal. Every deep inhalation is a thank you for the life that continues to flow, every exhalation an offering of trust. Gratitude itself is healing, for it lifts the mind from complaint to praise, from despair to expectancy. And when the subconscious is bathed in praise and expectancy, it naturally directs the body toward restoration. Thus, breath does not only cleanse tissues, but cleanses perspective, changing the way one inhabits existence. Illness often thrives on resistance, the inner fight, the constant rehearsing of symptoms, the fixation on what is wrong. The healing breath teaches the opposite, release. To exhale completely is to let go, not only of carbon dioxide, but of bitterness, worry, and the subtle tension of self-defeat. This release opens space for life to do its work. Healing then becomes not a battle, but a surrender, not a conquest, but a yielding to the higher order already inscribed within the body by divine wisdom. Those who integrate breath into prayer find their petitions magnified. Words spoken with shallow breathing often remain on the surface of the mind, but when united with deep rhythmic inhalations and exhalations, they descend into the subconscious where true transformation occurs. A whispered affirmation of health, carried on the breath and repeated faithfully, becomes a decree that the inner mind cannot ignore. And when the subconscious accepts it, the outer body obeys. This is the hidden union of prayer and physiology, of spirit and flesh, made tangible in every sacred breath. Breath is also the teacher of patience. Just as one cannot rush an inhalation without strain, so one cannot rush the process of healing. Each cycle unfolds in its own time, filling and releasing, receiving and surrendering. This rhythm instructs the soul that life is not meant to be forced but allowed. Those who learn this lesson through breath carry it into every part of their lives, into relationships, into work, into adversity. They discover that the same calm patience that heals the body also heals the soul, making them steady where others waver. In moments of despair, when all remedies seem to fail, breath remains the final ally. Even when words are gone and strength is absent, the act of inhaling with trust and exhaling with release can keep hope alive. And in that hope, the body finds strength to continue its unseen work of renewal. Many have found that when everything else seemed lost, returning to conscious breath rekindled their spirit, and from that rekindled spirit, the body slowly mended. Breath is therefore the companion that never abandons, the healer always at hand. The healing breath is at once the simplest of practices and the most profound of mysteries. It requires nothing but attention, yet it unlocks everything: peace of mind, strength of body, alignment of spirit. Those who give themselves to it discover that health is not a prize to be won, but a state to be revealed, hidden beneath layers of fear and neglect. With every faithful cycle, these layers are lifted, and the divine design of wholeness shines through. Breath, once unnoticed, becomes the key to life abundant. The healing breath is the final reminder that man is never separate from the life that sustains him. It is present in every moment, closer than thought, more faithful than heartbeat. To awaken to its power is to realize that health has never been absent. It has only been overshadowed by fear, neglect, and disconnection. Breath restores the connection, stripping away illusions of weakness and returning man to the eternal truth that divine life flows through him now. With each conscious inhalation, he receives. With each faithful exhalation, he releases. In this rhythm, health ceases to be an ambition and becomes an experience. When practiced with devotion, the healing breath becomes second nature. No longer confined to quiet sessions, it infuses every act. Walking, speaking, working, resting, the entire life begins to breathe in harmony. Strain lessens, joy rises, and vitality flows without interruption. The subconscious, having been trained by thousands of faith-filled breaths, adopts health as its permanent law. From then on, even challenges are met differently. Stress may come, but breath immediately steadies it. Fatigue may threaten, but breath restores energy. Illness may approach, but breath strengthens immunity. Breath becomes the shield and the sword of well-being. This practice also transforms the spirit. For as man learns to breathe with trust, he realizes that he is upheld by a greater order. He no longer feels alone or powerless, but connected to the source from which all healing flows. His prayers deepen, his faith expands, his outlook shifts. He sees that health is not merely the absence of pain, but the radiant harmony of body, mind, and spirit, aligned with God's law. Every conscious cycle of breath becomes worship, and worship itself becomes healing. The greatest truth revealed by the healing breath is that health does not need to be chased, begged for, or fought. It needs only to be allowed. Just as sunlight pours through an open window, divine vitality pours through a body that breathes in alignment. The window need not struggle to let light in, it simply remains open. So man need not struggle to create health. He must simply remain open through faithful breathing, receiving life in its fullness and releasing all that contradicts it. Thus the secret is simple yet inexhaustible. Change the breath and the body follows. Change the body and the mind follows. Change the mind and life itself transforms. This chain begins with a single inhalation of faith and a single exhalation of release. In that moment, the current of divine life begins to restore, renew, and heal. Every man possesses this key, hidden not in some distant philosophy but in the very act that sustains his existence. The healing breath is the law made tangible, the spirit made practical, the path to health revealed in the simplest movement of life itself. When the final breath of each day is taken with gratitude and the first breath of each morning with expectancy, life itself becomes a continual healing. Fatigue cannot endure in such an atmosphere, nor can despair take root. What remains is vitality, strength, and a peace that radiates through the body into the world. The man who lives in this rhythm becomes a light to others, for his very presence testifies to the law. Health is within, waiting only to be breathed into expression. In this revelation lies the culmination of the journey. Health is not withheld, nor is it fragile. It is the natural inheritance of all who remember the breath. Each inhalation is a gift from God, each exhalation a release into God. To unite these with faith is to live in perpetual renewal. This is the healing breath, simple, eternal, inexhaustible, the bridge between man and the divine, the secret by which health is changed from within and life is lived in harmony with its source. If you've stayed until now, it means something within you is already prepared. Deep down, you know the truth. Being loved at the cost of abandoning yourself is not love at all. It is surrender of the soul. True love begins with the courage to choose yourself, even if it means standing alone in the silence for a season. So answer this honestly. Are you ready to be misunderstood, rejected, even hated, if that is the price of inner freedom? Are you willing to walk the narrow road of authenticity, even when others cannot understand you? If this message touched you, if something inside you knows it is time, then write in the comments, "I choose my peace." Let us see how many souls here are truly ready to cross this threshold. And remember, your journey does not end here. Keep watching the next video. It carries the next piece of the path, more important than you may realize. I'll meet you there.